everyone, and welcome to episode 173 of Actors with Issues with me, your host, Juan Ayala. I'm an actor and journalist who loves talking shop with actors, getting into the issues and how they got to where they are today and the lessons that they learned along the way. In today's episode, we speak with Candace Nicholas-Lippman, who stars in the Starz series Blindspotting, which is making its second season premiere on April 14th. Candace plays the loyal, hilarious, and charming character Janelle on the series, and she talks with us about how courage remains one of the biggest things that she's learned from playing the character, and how overnight success is the biggest misconception that she debunked when she moved to Los Angeles to pursue her career. Before we dive in, please be sure to subscribe to the show wherever you may be listening or watching. Leave us a comment or review if you enjoy the episode. Now, please enjoy my conversation with Candace Nicholas-Lippman. Candace Nicholas-Lippman, you are now on the Actors with Issues stage. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
So, from what I've read, your love of performing and poetry, which has led to so much of your incredible work, started rather young for you. But when did all of that sort of come about? How did you discover this love of expression and of writing?
Well, I started writing when I was like really young, like elementary, but it was when I was in junior high school and I wrote this poem called Ode to My Red Pants. And then my teacher, my English teacher at the time, had me go around to all the other classes and I just was performing it. But in terms of like spoken word poetry, I didn't really get into that until I moved to Los Angeles. We don't really have a big poetry scene in Sacramento. So once I came out here, I was like, oh my gosh, what is this world of spoken word? And that's where things really started to take off for me.
Yeah.
And when I really realized, oh my goodness, I have a gift for this, God. So I'm gonna go ahead and use it. And then that's what I did. I started performing at like all these open mics, and my poetry is also part of my ministry. So I just wherever God was opening doors, I was performing.
Yeah. And when you were on Good Trouble, you got to perform your piece, Dear Black Girl. So I'm curious, how did that come about? Did they approach you to perform that? Did you pitch that idea?
No, it's all kudos to Miss Joanna Johnson, who is one of the producers, writers, and directors of Good Trouble.
Yeah.
She just discovered that I do spoken word and just asked me to write a piece specifically for Malika's episode, played by Zuri Adele. And I was like, sure. And then, she gave me the theme of that episode. And literally at that time, I was still working, as we actors call our day jobs or regular jobs as we're pursuing our dreams. And I was working at the school, I work with children, and I was like in the middle of my job, like writing this piece, editing this piece, and all this stuff. And that's just literally how that came about. She just discovered that I do spoken word. She asked me to write a piece, and then I got to perform my poetry on national television for the first time. So I will forever be grateful to her for that opportunity, and to my whole Good Trouble family.
Yeah. I love that show so much. I've interviewed a few folks from it, and I mean, similar to Blindspotting, it's just one of those shows that just touches so many different facets of that generation in such a like kind approach. Nothing feels like it's ham-fisted because I mean, our generation, I feel like we can smell like our BS meter is so sensitive. We know when people are being inauthentic or when they're pandering to us. We can smell that a mile away. And with Blindspotting and Good Trouble, it just feels so genuine and like they're just trying to educate people rather than like
Yes.
yell at them, and I
Yeah,
just
and
love
like
that about both shows.
yeah.
And with Janelle, fast forwarding to Blind Spot, I mean, I'm so sorry, Blind Spotting. I was on a show called Blind Spot, so I get confused with
Oh,
Blind Spot and Blind Spotting.
that's funny.
So with Janelle, I mean, she's the friend we all need. I mean, she is like the ride or die. If you call her and say we have to hide a body, she's like, "Where are we meeting?"
Listen.
But she also calls it out like it is, and I love that about her, and I love that with people who just do that in general. So I'm curious, how similar would you say you are to Janelle?
Oh my goodness. Janelle and I are extremely similar. The same as her. I'm very loyal to my people. I'm very much like, now I don't know about hiding bodies. Now we might have to discuss that, I'm like, wait a minute now. But no, I for sure am a ride or die. I show up for my people. Like Janelle, I believe her to have a big heart, and I'm someone who has a big heart, and it's all about authenticity and really being honest and unapologetic in who you are. And
Mhm.
Janelle is that way, as so am I. Like, you just gonna get what you get when you see me.
Yeah.
And it's like, I love that about Janelle too. And I love too that Janelle is very courageous. It takes a lot of courage for her to go leave Oakland and go live in a whole other foreign country for 5 years of her life. Like, that takes a lot of courage. And the same with me. It took a lot of courage for me to leave all that I knew in Sacramento and come pursue this crazy dream in Los Angeles. So yeah, she and I, a lot of who we are parallels very, very much. And that's something that has been such a pleasure to portray on screen.
And reflecting on these 2 seasons, I mean, it's 2 seasons of television, but it's been 3 years now because there was
Right.
such a long gap between seasons. So,
Yeah.
looking back, what would you say is the biggest lesson you've learned playing Janelle?
Oh, that's a good question. The biggest lesson, the biggest lesson I learned playing Janelle, it is that, on what I noted before, is the courage, is
Mm,
her bravery. You know, that is a big part of me, is that I want to travel and see the world. I want to experience different cultures. I want to experience just more of the world. And I think her bravery in doing that is so inspiring, and that is something for sure that yeah. Wait, what was your question again?
well,
Sorry, what?
no, it's okay. I mean, you answered it. Just what was the biggest lesson you've learned playing Janelle?
Oh yes, it would definitely
Yeah.
be that. Would be just the courage. It just takes a lot of courage to do what she does. I mean, there are people who never leave their hometowns, who never take that risk, and I love that about her. And it's something that I'm more so trying to adapt in my life. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. And with the name of our show being Actors with Issues, we always touch on sort of career obstacles and things like that. So I'm curious, what is something that you've maybe discovered about the entertainment industry that you discovered was maybe completely false? Because there's so much misinformation out there and misconceptions about the industry.
One of the big misconceptions I would say is the whole idea of the overnight success thing. That seems to be something that a lot of people believe. Like, especially if you're not from Los Angeles, and if you just come to LA and you're in your mind, you're like, oh yes, it's gonna happen like that. And no, it does not. It
Mhm.
literally took me 10 years before I finally booked my first series regular role. So I think that's the big misconception, is that this industry comes easily, and it doesn't, especially if you are a person of color. It's a lot of hard work. And I always tell people that if you want to pursue this industry, it is genuinely a faith walk. Like,
Yeah.
it is all faith. Like, you have to believe without a shadow of your doubt, among the rejections, among all the no's, among all the obstacles, among the not being able to pay my rent, not being able to feed myself, you have to still believe at the end of the day, this is what I'm called to do. And
Yeah.
if you hold on to that belief, it will happen if you do not give up. So I feel that that would probably be the biggest misconception, again, especially if you're not from Los Angeles, that you just think you're going to come out here and then boom, all the dreams come true. And granted, that does happen for some people, right? Right
Mhm.
people, right place, right time. But for a lot of us, it does
Yeah.
not. Okay. Like I said, it took me 10 years out here before I finally booked this series regular role, and it's all because I didn't give up. Yes, she says
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's so true. So many young actors, I've done a few workshops at my old college and whatnot, and so many young actors, think that you just show up, like you said, and you're just gonna be discovered and all of that. And it's like sometimes it has happened to people, but like you said, right place, right time. They say
Yeah.
that luck is when opportunity meets preparation. So if the opportunity comes by and you're not prepared,
Mhm.
That's bad luck. And but you have to like always stay prepared, because once the
Yes.
opportunity comes by, you have to be ready to like hit the ground running. You
Yes.
can't wait for your agent or manager to call and say there's a role. It's like you got to create your own work, like you did with
Right.
you had your YouTube channel, you put your work up there, and you just sort of put everything out there for people to see. And
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. I'm a big believer in that as well. Like, I have a lot of faith. And one of the things that within my faith is faith without works is dead. So it's one thing to
Mm,
believe so much in something, but if you're not putting forth action behind what you're believing, then, like, so you can't just sit there and wait for it to happen. It's like, I always tell people, for example, that, I've been working really hard on like my fitness journey or something like that, right? And people are like, why are you working out so hard? Why are you working out so hard? It's like, well, one, for health, but also two, I'm manifesting the roles I believe myself to
mhm.
one day get. And I see myself looking a certain way in those roles, or health wise, I have to be ready for the kind of roles that I'm believing God to bless me with. But if I'm out of shape and I'm huffing and puffing walking up the stairs, how you gonna book a Marvel act? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
can't,
Yeah.
like, that's not aligning, So it's just like, and just putting forth action behind what you're believing. And that goes back to creating a YouTube channel, just still putting my art out there, developing and putting out my one woman show, like just doing all these things that I believe that God has gifted me. And it's like, when you put forth your gifts, God will create room for him to bless you, but you have to give him something to bless, So
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that. You have to give them something to bless. I adore that.
Yeah.
My dad was a preacher. I grew up a preacher's kid, so I may not be as religious anymore, but I still believe in, in that, and putting your faith out into the
Mhm.
world and just
Yeah.
always radiating that positivity. I don't like people, negative energy. I'm
Yes.
like, you can go somewhere with that. I don't want any part of that.
Right.
Keep it moving.
Please.
Yeah. And with season 2 of Blindspotting coming out April 14th on Starz, what are you most excited for audiences to see this season?
Oh, I'm most excited for audience to see everything. Like, this season is going to be completely different than season one. It's just going to be just more chaos, more laughter, more drama. It's just we've taken everything to the next level this season. So I'm so excited for everyone to just see all of our hard work, to see just more of our heart being poured out this season. And specifically with Janelle, there's like a really, really big surprise with Janelle this season that I cannot wait for everyone to see. I'm just so excited to see her arc and her story. And yeah, y'all just stay tuned, because Bay Area, we out here.
And we always wrap up with this question. In 10 words or less, what advice would you give to a young actor?
Kind of the same thing what I said earlier, and I know it sounds so cliche, but do not give up. Like that's the biggest thing, y'all. Do not give up. If you believe what God has destined for your life, you have to continue to see it even when you can't see it. Right? It all starts with up here. Like, if I believe it and I see it, I believed this dream that I'm now living, even when I was living in my car homeless. I believed it when I was starving. I believed it, every single time I got a no for every single audition. I was so close to, but I still held on to the promise. And it's just like, you cannot give up. This is one of the most difficult career paths to go after. But if you don't get up, if you do not faint, you will one day reap the harvest. Amen.
Yeah.
That was
Amen.
way more than 10
I
words.
love that. Totally fine. Awesome. Well, Candace, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. If anyone wants to give you a follow on Instagram or anywhere on social media, where can they find you?
Oh, y'all can follow me. Everything's just my name. So, Candace Nicholas-Lippman. And then on Twitter, I'm Candace the Poet. And yeah, it's just my name. So connect with me, y'all.
And folks, you know the drill. You can follow us on Instagram, Actors with Issues. Give me a follow at Juan Ayala Official, and subscribe to our show on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts for new episodes every Monday and bonus episodes throughout the week. Season 2 of Blindspotting premieres April 14th on Starz. I'm Juan Ayala. This is Actors with Issues, and we'll see you next week.